What if I told you that just 100 years ago, something as small as a sore throat could kill you? No hospitals, no antibiotics, no clear understanding of disease, just fear and uncertainty. Right now, somewhere in the world, a doctor is saving a life. A machine is breathing for someone who cannot breathe on their own. A tiny pill is fighting an infection that just 100 years ago would have been a death sentence. We live in a world where medicine feels normal, where hospitals feel ordinary, where we walk into a pharmacy and pick up something that took thousands of years to discover. But it was not always this way. There was a time, not so long ago, when people had no idea what caused disease, when a simple cut could kill you, when the best treatment a doctor could offer was a prayer and a handful of dried leaves. The journey from that world to this one is one of the greatest stories ever told. It is a story of curiosity and courage, of failure and discovery, of ordinary people who asked one quiet, powerful question: why do we get sick, and how can we heal? Today on Storyline History, we are going to follow that journey, from the very first healers who walked the earth all the way to the marvels of modern medicine. This is a story that belongs to all of us, because every single one of us, at some point in our lives, has needed to be healed. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let the story begin. And if you are new to Storyline History, welcome. This is your calm space to learn English through beautiful, real stories. Please subscribe and leave a comment below telling us where you are listening from today. We love hearing from you. Now, let us go back. Very, very far back. To the beginning of it all. The first healers and ancient plant medicine. Tens of thousands of years ago, long before cities, books, or schools, human beings already understood one simple truth: some plants could heal the body. We know this not from written records, because writing did not yet exist. We know it from the earth itself. Archaeologists, scientists who study ancient remains, have found evidence of medicinal plants buried alongside human bones that are over 60,000 years old. Think about that for a moment. 60,000 years ago, someone cared enough about a sick or dying person to place healing herbs beside them. That is where our story begins. In these early communities, the healer was one of the most important people in the group. We sometimes call them shamans, medicine men, or medicine women. They knew which plant could reduce fever, which root could calm pain, which leaf could clean a wound. This knowledge was not written down. It was spoken, passed from one generation to the next like a precious gift. And it worked. Not always. Not perfectly. But often enough that people trusted it and kept it alive. These early healers also believed that illness was connected to the spirit, to forces beyond the physical body. Healing for them was not just about the body. It was about balance, about harmony between a person and the world around them. It was a beautiful idea, and in some ways it was not entirely wrong, but as human civilization grew, the story of medicine began to change, and those changes were extraordinary. Ancient Egypt, medicine between science and magic. As great civilizations rose, so did the practice of medicine. One of the earliest and most fascinating examples comes from ancient Egypt, a civilization that built pyramids, mastered astronomy, and developed one of the world's first written medical systems. The Egyptians left behind papyrus scrolls, thin sheets made from a river plant, describing treatments in remarkable detail. One of the most famous is the Ebers Papyrus, written around 1550 BC. It contains over 700 remedies, from headaches to crocodile bites. It explains how to treat infections, set broken bones, and use plants like garlic, aloe, and willow bark to reduce pain and swelling. Willow bark, by the way, contains the natural chemical that later became aspirin, one of the most widely used medicines today. The Egyptians discovered its power thousands of years before science understood why it worked. But what makes their medicine truly fascinating is this: it existed between science and magic. Doctors were also priests. Treatments often included herbs along with prayers or rituals. The physical and the spiritual were not separate. They were part of the same healing process. And this idea was not unique to Egypt. Across China, India, Mesopotamia, and Greece, people were asking the same questions. What makes us sick? And what makes us well? Slowly, carefully, one discovery at a time, they began to find answers. Hippocrates and the birth of rational medicine. The ancient Greeks made one of the most important shifts in the history of medicine. They began to ask not just what heals the body, but why. At the center of this change was Hippocrates. He lived around 400 BC and is often called the father of medicine. He believed something simple but revolutionary: disease has natural causes. The body follows natural laws. And a doctor's job is to observe carefully, record honestly, and support healing. He taught his students to watch, listen, question, and document. This approach became the foundation of modern medicine. He also introduced a code of ethics, the Hippocratic Oath. Its spirit can be summed up in one idea. First, do no harm. Be careful. Be thoughtful. Be humble. After him, Galen expanded knowledge of anatomy. Though not always correct, his ideas shaped medicine for over 1,000 years. The journey was moving forward, but it was far from complete. The Islamic Golden Age and Ibn Sina. After the fall of the Roman Empire, much of Europe entered a difficult period. Learning slowed. Libraries were lost. Knowledge was at risk. But in the Islamic world, from Spain to Persia, something remarkable was happening. This period, known as the Islamic Golden Age, became a time of learning, translation, and discovery. Cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba became centers of knowledge. One of the greatest figures of this era was Ibn Sina, known in the West as Avicenna. Born in 980 AD, he mastered medicine at a young age. He later wrote the Canon of Medicine, a work so influential that it was used in Europe for over 500 years. Think about that. One book guiding medicine for half a millennium. Scholars of this era advanced surgery, pharmacy, eye care, and disease understanding. They preserved knowledge, expanded it, and passed it on. The story of medicine is not the story of one culture. It belongs to all of humanity. The Renaissance and seeing the human body. By the 1400s and 1500s, Europe was changing. The Renaissance, a rebirth of learning, had begun. People started questioning old ideas and seeking truth through observation. In medicine, this led to something revolutionary: looking inside the human body. For centuries, dissection had been forbidden. So many anatomical ideas were simply wrong. Then came Andreas Vesalius. He studied real human bodies and compared them with ancient texts. What he discovered changed everything. The body was not what people had believed. In 1543, he published On the Fabric of the Human Body, filled with detailed illustrations. It marked a turning point. Medicine must rely on observation, not tradition. And this new mindset would lead to an even greater discovery: germs and the invisible world. For most of history, no one knew what caused disease. Then came the microscope. For the first time, scientists saw a hidden world from bacteria, microorganisms, life invisible to the naked eye. In the 1800s, Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch developed the germ theory of disease. They showed that specific diseases are caused by specific microorganisms. This changed everything. Hospitals became cleaner. Doctors began washing their hands. Surgery became safer. Joseph Lister introduced antiseptic techniques, dramatically reducing deaths. The idea was simple. If you stop the germ, you stop the disease. It was one of the greatest breakthroughs in human history. The explosion of modern medicine. In the 20th century, progress accelerated rapidly. In 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin, the first antibiotic. It transformed medicine. Infections that once killed millions could now be treated. Vaccines eliminated deadly diseases like smallpox. New technologies allowed doctors to see inside the body without surgery. Every decade brought new breakthroughs. Modern medicine and the future. Today, medicine can feel like magic. Doctors can study DNA, perform complex surgeries, and save lives that once would have been lost. And yet, the journey is not over. There are still diseases we do not understand, still challenges we have not solved. The story continues. Closing story. And through all of this, one thing has never changed. The desire to help, the desire to understand, the refusal to give up. That is the heart of medicine. And in many ways, it is also the heart of learning. So keep learning, keep asking questions, keep moving forward, because every small step leads to something extraordinary. And I will see you in the next story.